You are live with the App Show. Mike Agerbo here, broadcasting from the lovely home studio. I've got my good friends John Biehler and Graham Williams with me today. How you doing, guys?
Doing well.
I'm solid. Yeah. It's
We've
been a good week.
we've got no kidding. We've got a great show for you today. Going to be themed around the coronavirus. Some things that you'll be able to do from the comfort of your home. We're all working and living from the comforts of our homes right now. Later on, we'll tell you about a cool house party app and some other apps to socialize while you are self isolating. We will also be chatting with the folks at Nextdoor. This is the app to have right now, especially during these crazy, trying times. It really connects you with your neighborhood. We'll be talking with Christopher Doyle. He's the country manager about all the updates they've done to that and how it can really connect you with your community, especially if you're feeling really isolated and even need a little extra help. Let's have a look at some of the app news stories that we're following this week, guys. This is kind of interesting. A lot of people still out trying to get some exercise during this crisis. Strava, a very popular app. They've got Strava Routes that help you find isolated places to run and cycle.
This is kind of fun because it's sort of the opposite of some of the things we've seen with Strava in the past, right? There are a bunch of GPS-based apps where like finding secret military bases and things like that. And so this is sort of here's where no one's running. This is smart.
So for once, it's good that they're tracking you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is
Now,
kind of
the question is like, why is no one running these routes? Possibly because it's going by like a tire fire or something like that. But reasonably speaking, if you're not looking to encounter other human beings, this is a great way to do it. Here, GPS, nobody's here, go there.
Speaking of tracking, this was kind of a disturbing story to me. There were some governments, and even Trudeau, talked about this, using cell phone location data to track people that have the virus. Did you hear about this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Singapore, I think, started this where they would basically send a text message and they could tell that you weren't where you were supposed to be. And if you were somewhere else, they would deploy the police department to go and get you home.
Yeah,
forcefully.
There was a story of one young lady whose phone battery died at 7:45, and by 8:20 the cops were knocking on her door.
Really?
Yeah, she just forgot to plug it in, and so it dropped off the map, and so they came looking for her, and she was actually happy about it because, reasonably speaking, the only way we're going to stop this thing is by stopping people who do have it from interacting with others. So helpful. The question right now, though, I think for a lot of people is, as we are starting to see an increase in government surveillance and we're starting to see an increase in some of the powers that are assigned to some of these groups, can we roll it back when we're done? That's a good question that I don't have the answer to.
Guys, it's a slippery slope, though. Like, once they taste this power, like, do you think they're not going to try to use this in the future for other things that they think they would need it for? Like, this came up because The Logic, it's a technology-focused news site, quoted, or, apparently quoted Toronto Mayor John Tory, who said that they were starting to use location data to find where people were gathering and, mapping it. They've since backtracked on that, but how easy is it for them to get that data from the telephone company?
Well, reasonably speaking, you don't even need to use location data, right? Like, you could actually take a look and you could ask Rogers and Bell and TELUS to let you know where there is additional load on the cell phone towers where there typically isn't. That could be one way of going about it. The individual identifiable privacy issues, like if you're just looking at clusters of people, that's fine. If you're starting to track down individuals without a court order, we're getting into scary places. But we do also see the Emergencies Act being used across the country, so being able to get those things would be relatively easy as well. But you're absolutely right. Once you've got this capability, like once we saw CCTV come out in the UK, it's never gone away. Right?
Oh my God, they're
We're opening
everywhere
the door
now.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, these are some of the stories we're following. Again, we've got a great show for you today. Coming up here in a moment, we'll be talking with the folks at Nextdoor. If you haven't downloaded this app yet, I strongly recommend that you do. It really does connect you with your community and specifically with your local neighborhood as well to, really look out for each other during, trying times. Coming up a little bit later, we'll be talking about a cool app to have your own house party online. Aiden, you and your finest friends all video chatting together and playing games at the same time. Right now, though, I want to talk about an app that we've covered before on the show, but probably even more relevant now. It's called Nextdoor. On the line, we've got Christopher Doyle. He is the country manager here in Canada for Nextdoor. Thanks for joining us, Christopher.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I bet you're getting a lot of traffic now.
We really are. We really are. Yes, it's been quite incredible to see, actually.
Christopher, tell our listeners again what Nextdoor is all about.
Yeah, for sure. So Nextdoor is the neighborhood hub online. So our stated purpose is to cultivate kindness and ensure everyone has a neighborhood that they can rely on, and that's our mission and our stated purpose on a regular day. So you can only imagine when a crisis hits, like we've seen with COVID-19, how it's even that much more important that the people closest to us, that we know them, first of all, and that those most vulnerable have an opportunity to connect with them to get the help that they need. So we've seen some really sharp increases in the usage of Nextdoor as neighbors really try and help each other out in times of crisis.
Explain to listeners how they get signed up for this if they're not part of Nextdoor yet.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, we encourage people to download the app, which most people do, or our website at nextdoor.ca does it as well. And when you go there and download the app, we ask you for your address and postal code. And what that does is actually connects you to your neighborhood. So Nextdoor is all designed around the local neighborhood that you live in. So it will connect you to your neighborhood immediately. What we love about it so much is that, especially in times of crisis like now, it's a really trusted and safe environment because it's a 100% verified system. So we verify that you are who you say you are online. So that leads to a lot of, in times of crisis, it really helps to know that you have a neighbor to rely on down the street, for example, but also just makes it a much more trusted and safe place. So basically, you go to your neighborhood there, and we've set up different tools all around the neighborhood. Again, like I said, on a normal day, we have these tools enabled, and then we're actually have moved really quickly to enable new tools for people to get the help that they need during the COVID-19 crisis.
And what kind of tools would that be?
Yeah, so one that we just launched is called the Help Map. And like I said, like Nextdoor is a platform where you could go there today or any other day before the crisis hit, and you could have, asked a question. And a typical question is around, a lot of like service recommendations, like, can anyone recommend a plumber that I could use? What we found during the crisis was that there were so many people offering help on our platform. We actually saw 17 times more people asking and offering help on the platform. So we wanted to make it easier for the most vulnerable and the most in need to get the help that they needed closest to them. So the help map actually allows you to do that. So you can go to the help map once you're logged into Nextdoor, and you can state what types of things you are willing to help a neighbor with. So that might mean, hey, I'm willing to go and pick up groceries for someone who may have just been traveling internationally. And that's actually an actual use case that we've seen in Canada. And you can say, yeah, I'm willing to go and pick up some groceries and drop them off in a safe way. So that's one example. So now what this does is it allows people who are in need, and this might be people who are elderly, it might be people who have traveled internationally, it might be people who are just feeling really, really isolated because they are self-isolating or quarantined. They can actually go to that and see who most close to me can offer help. And then they can message them in a safe way and just say, hey, I could really use some help. So to us, it was really important that we made it easy for people in need to get help, because, they might not feel comfortable posting something on the feed. So this really made them feel safer.
One thing that I like is, because I just signed up for this a little while ago, I literally just got my postcard yesterday. I'm covering out the code in my neighborhood, but basically this gets physically sent to you to sort of really validate who you are. And so you're not just getting some random person from across the world in these conversations. So I think that's really good too. And, at least for now, the Postal Service is still operating. So at least you have that verification level if their people aren't already in there. And even since I signed up, I've seen a number of other people just in my little complex and neighborhood sign up as well. So people are definitely looking for tools like this, which is great.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's like the number one way we see people verify their accounts is just as you did, John. They requested the postcard in the mail, and I think it usually supposed to arrive within 5 days. Hopefully that was the case here. Usually three to 5 days, and you get that. And to me, I love that because it's a high degree of verification at that point, right? So it's like you are who you say you are. You can join the neighborhood in a safe way. And to your point around the local connections, the other tool that we just enabled, it was in beta, but we saw so many people creating groups, like COVID-19 aid groups. And so we've actually enabled groups live all across Canada now. So, and we've seen so many groups form. I know there's one in my neighborhood specifically, just neighbors who want to help, right? So it's a way that then we can prioritize that in the feed again to make sure that they're working together to help people.
I actually have faith in humanity again. I've been using the Nextdoor app for a while, and
Yeah.
it's been pretty good. One of the reasons I joined it, obviously after talking with you, is that the verification process is excellent. Right, you're not going to have a bunch of weirdos trying to pretend they're part of your neighborhood. But on top of that, the security thing was a big thing for me because we were getting a lot of break-ins in my driveway into my cars and stuff. And we were actually able to connect with a bunch of other neighbors that were having similar problems, and then communicate that to the local police detachment here. And it helped reduce a lot of that. But I just love the fact I'm getting these messages from Nextdoor, and people are just helping people. Like you said, getting groceries or whatever, even down to where toilet paper is. Safeway just got some toilet paper in, half an hour ago. Get your butt down there quickly. So I love that. So my question too is, like, we've got Facebook. How do you feel this differs from Facebook?
Yeah, it's a great question. I like to say that I think the reason why a platform was created really sets the tone for how you communicate on it, right? And there's no doubt like that Nextdoor was designed specifically to connect you with your neighbors, just as you described, right? And in a safe and a trusted way. So to me, that's the number one difference. Like, we talk about the different social platforms out there and why you might use one over the other, right? And probably we use all of them for different reasons. And Nextdoor is really the one to connect with your neighbors in a safe and trusted way. Whereas I think other platforms are created for different reasons. So that's the first thing that I think of. The second one really is that verification component. So, it's a higher degree of trust, just as you both described, really, when you know that you do live in the neighborhood, and we go through great pains to verify people. And so you just can't join. It's also private to your neighborhood. So it's not like I could Google your neighborhood and see like what are people talking about and what are the conversations. So it is private to your neighborhood. So to me, those are the two major differences. I think like the tool set within Nextdoor is designed specifically for neighbors and to connect with neighbors. So when you think about the help map, we're able to do something like that based on proximity. So it's less about, oh yeah, I was already on this platform because, my friends and family are already on here. It's more about, no, I want to connect to my community, and the conversations that I'm having are facilitated through Nextdoor as this neighborhood hub. So, and that's on a regular day. That includes like things like for sale and free, which is a specific section on Nextdoor. Safety, neighborhood safety, as you mentioned, is a big one for us. And now we see, I think it's really heightened the need for Nextdoor, because you can see just at the end of the day, you're going to need your neighbors to support you. We're going to have to support each other, right? And so that's really what Nextdoor is all about.
How difficult would you say it is for someone to get signed up for this? We have a lot of elderly people listening to the show as well. They're not as, technically savvy. Is it fairly straightforward for them, do you think, to get signed up and get involved?
Yeah, yes, it is. It is. I think that it is pretty easy to download the app and go to the website. And as I said, sort of punching in your postal code and address, and then we're connecting you to your neighborhood. There are the verification options, as you mentioned, where you can get a postcard and have it sent to your house. I think that's something, like, even I went through that process when I joined. It's like, oh yeah, you get the postcard. You're like, yes, I got to remember, I've got to punch that in, right? So there is a step. Like we're not like other platforms in that sense, where it's just like sort of, it's a little bit more instant. And this is on purpose because we want to make sure that you are who you say you are, and you are in the right neighborhood, and you're connected to your community. So, but I think from a technical standpoint, I think it's fairly simple when you, as I view it, when you go in, and the form is fairly simple to punch in. there's not many more steps beyond sort of inputting that information that takes you to your neighborhood. But I think that's part of what we're doing right now, is making sure that the most vulnerable out there know that Nextdoor is such a valuable resource, because I think, we want to make sure that we're getting to everyone. There are a lot of people who are feeling more vulnerable and more isolated than normal, right? Who may have already been in a vulnerable situation. And, one of the things we're working on with our community leads, so I should have mentioned too, that Nextdoor has leads of the neighborhoods. And these are people who are really caretakers of their communities, and they love kind of helping people and using Nextdoor, right? And we've been talking with them about, how do I identify these people? I know I've seen the conversation in my neighborhood. How do I identify these people how do we connect them to the help that we know is available on Nextdoor, right? So that's what the help map is designed to do. But to your point, we also need to tell people to make sure that they're going to sign up and get connected to their neighborhood, because we all need a neighborhood to rely on right now. And again, that might be something as simple as, I just returned from travel, and I really need some essentials. Or in another case, we had someone who just needed their mail to be picked up. Things like that, right? And that's where it's great to know someone down the street that can help with that.
We're talking with sorry, John.
I was going to say, I equate Nextdoor, after using it for a little while now, kind of like where my mailbox is for my complex. We have a little bulletin board, and it's kind of like a bulletin board for your community, that's hyper local and hyper specific to any specific needs. And I actually just saw on my bulletin board here, beside my mailbox, there was some local folks in the complex offering to do things like you just said that are in Nextdoor. And not everyone has a bulletin board beside their mailbox, so this is the perfect digital equivalent of that. And that's really how I think about Nextdoor now.
Yeah, that's a great point. I was just going to say too, especially with the physical distancing that's been going on, and as a necessity to keep everyone safe, that we can't gather in person. I think too, that has kind of come to life more than ever before, where it's like, who can help and how do I connect them in a digital way, which I think has really kind of become like illuminated now, right?
Yeah.
We're talking with Christopher Doyle. He's the country manager for the Nextdoor app. If you don't have this app, it's time to download it now. Gets you in touch with your real neighbors in your neighborhood, and it's especially important for a lot of the neighbors that might need some help. Thanks for joining us, Christopher.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
When we come back from the break, more apps to talk about, including House Party, getting your friends together online and playing some games. I get a lot of questions about how to stay connected with friends and family during the pandemic. Obviously you can do Skypes and FaceTimes one-on-one, and, even add a few people in. But there's some programs or apps that are really ideally suited for more social gatherings. One that we came across is House Party. Have you guys tried this out yet? Seems all the kids are using it.
It's fun.
Not yet.
No, it's cool. It only works for up to 8 people, but you can all be video chatting at the same time. But what I like about it is that they also have little games built into it as well. So like little kind of Pictionary games and trivia games that you can play together while you're, videoing, which is, I think, kind of cool.
How does it compare to Jackbox quality of games?
They're okay. Jackbox, we've talked about it on the show before. These are Jackbox party packs, and they also have little individual games that you can basically download for every platform out there. The Jackbox games are better. There's no question. But, I love those. Graham, you did something interesting. You like to DJ. You were DJing for a group of folks online.
I was. So I forked out for a Zoom upgrade, so I can do the 100 people and go over the 40-minute limit. But we wanted to have we were calling it an ISO rave, right? Like just dance in your living room. So there's an app on iOS and Android called Q. And it's a website as well. And so basically you punch in, as a DJ, you punch this information into your software, and you can broadcast directly from your DJ controller onto the internet. And so I had probably about 60 or 70 people last Saturday in their own homes listening to me play live, along with a couple of other friends. So we had 3 DJs, 3 channels, and people kind of bounced back and forth between all of them. And it was an absolute blast. So Q it's kind of it's a cool thing for DJs to play live.
How do you spell that?
And so
It's CUE, as in like you're queuing up a song.
Very cool. John, getting back to Jackbox games, those aren't typically like multiplayer as far as going out over the net. You have to be at home to do it, but you found a unique way to do this.
Yeah, well, I was trying a bunch of different ways. Xbox has a service called Mixer, which is similar to Twitch for streaming, and so we actually tried broadcasting from my Xbox to a website that all my friends could go to. They didn't need to log in or anything like that. So if you have an Xbox, you can use Mixer to broadcast to your account. So it's mixer.com/your Xbox name, and then people will be able to see whatever you're playing. And with Jackbox, the problem with Jackbox is that there's a bit of a delay, which can be troublesome if you're trying to buzz in for a trivia game, for example. But what I ended up doing that seemed to work the best is I literally just took a webcam and pointed it at my TV, and everyone basically saw my TV instead of me. And then you use your phones to actually play. And we played Quiplash too, I think for 4 hours on Saturday night. There was 8 of us playing, and it was a total blast. And the other neat thing I since to have discovered too is Jackbox actually made Drawful 2 available for free, which is it's a new version of their sort of you on your phone you would just sort of draw your whatever word you've been given or phrase, and then everyone else would see that, and then you have to guess what it is. And it's kind of a fun Pictionary kind of game that you can play remotely. And the nice thing is you can actually install it on your computer, so then you can just share your app from Zoom directly in. So people, there shouldn't be any lag at all, and it should be pretty high quality. So,
have you guys done any virtual happy hours yet?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So
every night.
This is a fun one. Like, we're doing virtual happy hours, but my partner Ray, she made scones and did a dead drop for a friend of ours at their door. She dropped scones off and then came home and had virtual high tea. That was the classiest thing I've seen in a while. Really, really cool.
I would drop off KD. That'd be the height of my class.
I've seen some people, they go to town, they actually get dressed up for their Zoom calls to have, it's like they're going out to the club. And so, I mean, it's a thing. People are trying to be social and trying to stay connected the way that they normally do. I'm still in my pajamas, so I'm happy to do that. But good on you if you want to get dressed up and sit at home. So.
Well, we're going to have to take a break here now, guys. When we come back, we're going to learn about a new phone coming out with probably the most incredible camera system that I've ever seen. And we will tell you all about it, maybe just to take your mind off, the pandemic for a little while here. You're listening to the App Show here on the Chorus Radio Network. Back after this. Welcome back to the show. Got some exciting news. I always love hearing about new tech launches, and always look forward to ones from Huawei. They've really led the charge as far as technology in smartphones and really down to the cameras as well. They've just announced a new phone. I'm going to call it a super phone. It's just amazing some of the things that this thing can do. It's the Huawei P40 Pro. And on the line, we've got Paul Dayco from Huawei to tell us all about it. Thanks for joining us, Paul.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, thank you. Challenging times to launch new products, I imagine.
But you know what? It's important to know that we are at the forefront of technology here, and we're always ready to show some new innovations with our customers around the world.
So, Paul, I wanted to dive into this phone because there's just so many features, and I'm pretty excited about a lot of them. Let's start with the cameras on the P40 Pro. What's new? What are you bringing to the table this time?
Well, it's a 4-camera system. It's a quad camera system. There is ultra wide to a 40 megapixel camera sensor, and the actual main camera sensor now is 50 megapixels as well. And then we have a telephoto, and then we also have this 3D depth camera as well to be able to get some really, really great shots from pretty much every situation you can think of. Well,
a lot of the phones now, and I almost feel like they're playing catch up to you guys every time you launch a new phone. They've got like 3 camera systems and what have you. What makes these different now compared to what's out there?
We have a gigantic sensor behind the camera. It measures about an inch diagonally. It's the biggest sensor you can pretty much put on a smartphone at this point. This enables us to get some really incredible pictures and incredible detail. And it's not just about the megapixels, it's about how we use those megapixels as well. On top of that, we have this XD Fusion engine that we've done and developed using AI algorithms to pretty much have different kinds of situations that it's already been pre-programmed so that you're always taking the best picture possible.
So what does this mean for the average person, that likes to take a lot of pictures? Are they going to notice a difference compared to their older phone?
I'm a big point and shoot kind of guy, and I can tell you right now that I've been playing around with this phone for a little bit, and my photos have looked so much better at this point because it does have that extra level, an extra layer of AI magic that I think that only I think Huawei can provide.
I want to quickly just talk about that AI. I haven't had a chance to try the phone out myself in full yet, to some of these things. But they showed how the AI is smart enough to actually remove things like glass reflections from an image. Like, so for example, if you're taking a picture of a display in a store, but obviously there's glass there, and even removing people that accidentally pass by photobomb your shot as well. Like, how is it doing that? That just seems like kind of magic.
It's called, that feature is called the AI Golden Snap. It's a new feature we're launching with the P40 Pro. Essentially what it does is it's smart enough to figure out what should be on that image that you want to take a picture of. And it takes pictures and analyzes about 40 frames a second before and after you press that shutter button.
It's basically taking the best picture out of that time period.
It's taking the best picture out of that, but also combining different photos. So, for example, if you have a person who kind of comes in from the left on the earlier in the frame, and then someone comes to the right after that, then it's smart enough to combine those images to actually have those people, both of them out.
Let's talk about the zoom lens. How much optical zoom lens are you getting with this new one?
The P40 Pro has a 5 times optical zoom. On top of that, too, we also have a 50 times super sensing zoom as well. So pretty much about half a kilometer away, you can zoom in from your phone from where you're standing.
It's like kind of having a telescope in your pocket.
Exactly. And the reason why is we want to have a really big comprehensive package in terms of our camera system. This means that we're able to shoot in very challenging situations that you probably wouldn't have to even, pull out your phone at any point. This allows you to capture every moment that you have, even moments within moments, really, with our super slow-mo.
Let's talk about that super slow-mo. It's kind of funny. I remember years ago, I got my hands on this special Olympus camera. I think it was like a few $1,000s, and it had like a super slow-mo, like 100 times slow-mo. What can we get with this now?
Because of our technology that we put in this device, we're actually getting 256 times slower than actual regular movement. 7,680 frames a second. And slower than slow, Mike.
Yeah, no. Let's talk about the video as well. A lot of people obviously now using their smartphones for taking video. One feature that I thought was really cool, we've seen this with the still photos, that bokeh effect, being able to take a picture of someone and then having the background blurred out. You're able to do that quite well with video now, too.
Yeah, we've essentially made has included pretty much pro-level video, making you a director of your life at this point, enabling you to get those background blur bokeh effects, which is so you can see in pretty much almost every movie. However, now it's replicable on your smartphone.
Let's talk about some of the other features. Obviously the cameras are by far one of the big reasons that someone would want this phone. What about other features that people would want? I think one was Me Time, like a video conferencing feature.
Yeah, Me Time is a new video conferencing feature, video calling feature that we've enabled. Since it's using Huawei technology, we're actually able to get some really good nighttime 1080p kind of video. So you can pretty much shoot in the dark at this point, or have a video conversation in the dark, and you're able to actually just see that person in front of you as well. Very, very low light situations. We've also partnered with other manufacturers as well to be able to bring that Me Time to other components, like say a little camera you can attach to your bicycle and so on and so forth. This collaboration with our laptops, including Me Time, allowing you to pretty much drag and drop things from your laptop to your PC, to your smartphone and back and forth. We're able to copy and paste something on your phone, and then you can actually control paste that somewhere on your computer if you have it connected.
I want to bring up something, people very much so nowadays, very concerned about security and privacy. Obviously that's something you folks at Huawei are dealing with in a big way as well. What are we seeing on the phone to protect people's privacy and make them secure?
There is something we call the TEE, which is the Trusted Execution Environment. That's a base level part of the the security chip in the device. This is the area where it kind of stores your biometrics, like your face information as well as your fingerprints, and it stores it in a place that even Huawei can't even get into. This is secure privacy for you as a user. On top of that, we have above level features that also secure your level as well. We have a feature called Private Space, essentially enabling you to make another instance of Android onto your phone itself, meaning that you have your own personal, say your work side. Then if you use, say, you unlock using your thumb, but say you use your pinky finger on your left hand, you can unlock a different version of your phone where you can store your photos, your videos, the things that you want to keep on safe. That's where you can put it, and only you know it exists. So it's really, really safe and really secure.
Let's talk about apps now. Just so listeners know out there, this particular phone's not going to be using the Google mobile services. It's going to be using Huawei's mobile services instead. And you guys have your own app gallery. What kind of traction are you getting right now to get the most popular apps on your app gallery?
App Gallery launched in Canada in beta form on February 24th, so not too long ago. Currently, there's about 17,000 apps available in Canada. Just recently, last week, we launched the Weather Network. Wattpad is another major player that's homegrown. Globally, we have about 3,000 engineers dedicated to App Gallery, with about $3 billion to its growth and development. Essentially, App Gallery is the first App Store alternative offered to customers in pretty much the last 10 years. In the momentum part of this App Gallery, we have about 5,000 apps being added every week globally to App Gallery.
Yeah, so for people that already are using Android phones, and again, the new Huawei P40's got the open source version of Android. So the people that already have Android phones, will they be able to migrate their settings and their current apps, whatever they might be, onto the new phone?
Well, we have a feature called Phone Clone, and Phone Clone is embedded in pretty much every one of our devices, and it's downloadable on the Play Store or in the App Store. And what it is that it's an easy way for our customers to migrate their data over from their previous phone to their new Huawei device. For applications, our first choice is always talking about the App Gallery. That's where you should download all our apps, as well as their official websites out there. These app developers also make their apps available that way as well. So that's an easy way for our customers to get the apps that they use.
We're talking with Paul Dayco from Huawei about the new Huawei P40 Pro. This is a new flagship phone from the Chinese smartphone manufacturer. Do we know when this will be available in Canada?
That's going to be a TBD. So it's coming out in Canada for sure, but we just have to wait and see what that's going to be at.
Thanks for joining us today, Paul. We look forward to finding out when we can get our hands on one of these.
Thanks a lot, Mike.
When we come back from the break, more tech to talk. Stay tuned. You are back with the App Show. Mike Agerbo here with John and Graham. Well, we've got a little time left for our favorite app pick of the week. And John, I'm throwing it over to you.
Yeah, so just last week, conveniently, Nintendo came out with Animal Crossing New Horizons for the Nintendo Switch. And I got to say, it's a fantastic game for quarantine. The premise behind it, if you've never heard of Animal Crossing before, it's a popular game that's been around for quite a long time on a lot of different consoles. But the idea between this particular one is that you are traveling to a deserted island that you're going to live on, and you start off with a tent and a local guide, and you basically have to gather resources and keep continually upgrading your island. You visit other islands to get resources. You meet other people to invite them to live on your island, and you basically build up the whole place. And it's been fantastic. It's got really soothing music. It's a very nice distraction from all of the news of the day and the world. And I've played it for far too many hours now. I get up in the morning and log in while I'm in bed and play it. I play it at night until I go to sleep. And it's not normally my kind of game. I'm not a big fan of the resource type games, but it's just such a nice departure from what's going on in the world and what we're always talking about. And they've done such a great job with how it all comes together. And it's actually quite a lot of fun. I have a lot of friends that are actually playing it as well. And there's like 12 of us all playing, and you can actually go and visit your friends' islands as well, which is really kind of cool.
So are you collecting animals? Why is it called Animal Crossing?
I'm not sure.
Well, it's because most of the other characters are animals. Speaking as the guy who started playing this series 15 years ago. Yikes.
Well, the funny thing is, I found out that this particular iteration for the Switch the development started in 2012. So it's actually
Wow.
been in development for 8 years. And they're actually planning seasonal updates to it as well. So it's a pretty good value. And apparently, Nintendo, just this morning, I read that they're actually moving up one of their updates for Easter a little bit sooner just because of the pandemic and because there's a lot of people playing it. Apparently, this is the most popular game of all time for them in a very short amount of time as far as sales goes. So
I might have to pick up a copy and come join you on your island. It's great because it seems like a really fun game that's actually just the plot to Waterworld.
pretty much, yeah. But the nice thing too is that there's no timeline, right? You're not in a rush to do anything. So literally, you can just live your best life on your island. You have a camera in the game. You can take pictures. You can.
How do you win? How do you win?
You don't. You just live.
Just like life.
Oh, is that my problem? I'm trying to win life.
Yes.
Well, tell you what,
Yeah.
when I'm done killing demons in Doom Eternal, I will come hang out with you in Animal Crossing.
All right.
Cool. Animal Crossing available for the Nintendo Switch. That's all the time we have left for the app show. Don't forget to visit our website, getconnectedmedia.com. We've got great contests going on all the time. This week, we're giving away a Google Nest Mini. This is a great little smart speaker that you can use to control your home with all your connected devices, listen to your favorite songs, and just ask Google just about anything. Want to thank everyone that helps put the show together. Graham, John, Christina, Stephen. We'll see you again next time.